Okay, let's take care of Lab 2 and Lab 3 today. Actually, first we're going to take care of Lab 2. Lab 1, you already have the video, and you should be able to do this thing after tomorrow, which is Friday, whatever the date is, okay? It's late right now, okay, so excuse me for that. Now, okay, so let's just take a look at the labs, what we're going to do now. The labs, lab 1 is the deliverables, which is going to be introduced to you on this Friday. Then lab 2 is CAT5e termination, and we're going to use the 110 insulation displacement connection, IDC. And lab 3, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use the toolless jack that also employs the IDC type of a connection. Again, IDC stands for insulation displacement connection. We're going to explain that in a couple of minutes. All right, so let's take care of that CAT5e termination 110 IDC. Okay, basically what we're going to create is we're going to create one of these. Okay. On one side it has RJ45 Ethernet female data jack, and on the other side it also has an Ethernet female data jack. Why would you want to do this? Well, you don't want to do this, or not very often you would like to do one of those, but for the purpose of exercise of the lab, you're going to do this. Now, let's get a little bit of a background of why would you want to learn how to do this. Let me just queue up my little slideshow here. Okay. All right. Let's say this is some sort of an office building, and what do we have here? We have a server room. That's where the LAN room, it's also called LAN room. So that's where all the wires home run. All the wires run to this room into this rack location, and from there the wires run where? To individual rooms and computers in those rooms, or any other devices such as wireless access points in the ceiling. So that's basically the heart of this data of this LAN, a local area network. Okay, so what do we have here? Let's concentrate on this rack. Okay, so the rack looks more or less like something like this. That's in the background here you can see wires being run to all different locations, and there is a bundle right here you can see. Now they are being terminated off the back of this patch panels. All right, so every wire is terminated to the back of the patch panel. Right. From these patch panels, patch cables are used, like there's another patch panel here. And you can see that this patch cable goes right into a switch. Right. The purpose of a switch is to route the signal around the local area network. So this is the intelligence device, and patch panel just provides a patching resource. You connect the wire on one side, and then that gives you the opportunity to plug in the data jack, and you can plug in the other side of that patch cable or patch cord into the switch. So every individual run that is connected to the back of the patch panel is connected into individual port, each individual port into in the switch. So we're going to take care of the link between the back of this patch panel and where it goes on the other side, the wire, and it basically, well, here is the close-up of the patch panel. Here, okay, so let's just say you can see 0, 3, 0, 4, 5, and 6. So those runs are basically labeled, and on the other side they're labeled as well. Now somewhere here towards the left of this labeling strip there will probably be another label that says data runs. Okay, and it's all documented where pretty much where the cables are going to which outlets. Yeah. Now on the other side there is an office, just like, remember this here? That would be an office here, so the wires from this rack, they run to the office. And let's say this is one of the rooms of the office, and the data jacks or the Ethernet outlets, they could be mounted on the desktop, they could be mounted underneath the desk, or they could be mounted on the walls. There's no rule. There's different ways of mounting those wires, okay, or placing the data jacks. Okay, now under the desk, for example, look, it looks like this. So the wire basically runs behind the jack, behind the wall plate, and inside the wall, or in the ceiling, or in the floor, different kinds of raceways, whichever way the cable makes to the wall jack or the desktop location, and then it's being terminated on the other side. So basically at the patch panel we have a female jack, and at the desktop we also have a female jack, and this wire basically goes in the walls, in the ceiling, in the raceways, in the cable trays, whichever way it goes, it makes itself to the other side of the data run. Now as long as it's not the distance, how long can the wire be, it's as long as it's not greater than 328 feet, but just for the reason of simplicity, we just say that data cables should not be longer than 300 feet end to end. Okay? If the cable is longer, then the signal is basically not readable at the other end. Okay? All right. Now let's keep going with this. That's basically, you see, also the wires are labeled and the data jacks are labeled. So it says D4, D5, and this is probably D6. So if we go back to the patch panel, that's where they are on the other side. Labeling is important. Okay? Now, so basically this is the rack side, and this is the desktop location or the destination, and the idea is to run a permanent wire from the back of this patch panel into the back of this jack here, and then from here this cable would be plugged into, let's say for example, a computer, and this side of the cable will be plugged into a switch, and then further down the network. Okay. Now the tools that we need for this is side cutters. Just gonna put it here. All right, and you need a Sharpie. Sharpie. Now, when it comes to side cutters, please do not bring those. You're going to struggle with cutting the data cable with these sides. These cutters and strippers are good for other purposes, for other courses, when you do small gauge wiring, breadboards, and all that stuff. You're going to struggle with these, so do not use that. Get some real side cutters. Side cutters or wire cutters, and a Sharpie permanent marker. That's all we need. Okay. Now the wiring as it is done when we're using the data link, we are going to produce a straight data link. We're going to take care of the color code later on in the theory classes, but For now, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background. How do we count the pairs for the data purpose? Blue, orange, green, and brown. Notice I just used 3-letter designations for that. So pair number 1 is blue, pair number 2 is orange, pair number 3 is green, pair number 4 is brown. 4 pairs, and that means 8 individual wires are going to be used. Now, I'm just going to cut a piece of wire here just to show you what they look like. Some of us might know already. All right. Here. It's just a little piece here, and I'm just going to cut this off. All right, let's bring it to the other camera here. That's basically what these wires look like. Let's get them a little bit closer. All right. Now, let's go pair number 1, blue, orange. Let's just get this thing in a better focus. All right. Blue, orange, green, and brown. Notice that every pair has 2 wires. That's what makes it a pair. Okay. Now, how they are arranged is they're being twisted, and we're going to talk about the reason for the twist. It's basically to avoid the crosstalk, and we're going to go in detail in the theory classes. They are twisted, and if you notice, is that, for example, the blue pair has a solid blue wire and a stripe, or a wire with a strip. So there's a white, blue, and solid blue. And so all the other cables or pairs basically use the same, implement the same idea. Let's say, for example, here, orange has a white orange and a solid orange. And so is with the green and the brown. So that's how we count the pairs in the Ethernet cable. Okay. Now, when we switch to the to this view here, basically this this cable is going to be terminated at the back of this jack. Jacks come in different shapes, depending on who is making those jacks. There's one type of jack making by one kind of manufacturer. Another manufacturer is making it this way. There's another one. There's the same one. There's another one that that somebody else makes. So basically, how the wires or the pairs are arranged at the back of the jack might be different by different manufacturer. However, what comes out at the other side, at the prongs, it has to be what it has to be, right? So there might be, the wires might be arranged in a different way at the back of the jack, but there's internal wiring that makes that jack the same as this jack and the same as this jack. Okay, so when you look at this these jacks from this other side, they are going to be the same, and the wire mapping, where the wires go, they're also going to be the same. Right? Now let's take a look at this this jack, for example, here. Okay. Remember how we count the pairs? We go blue, orange, blue, orange, green, and brown. Now, when we switch to the view of the jack, we can see some colors happening here. Let me just explain how this works. Now we can see B, A, and B and A. They are 2 types of configuration implemented by the system that is called T568. It's a wiring standard. That's the pairs. It's a wiring standard. Now we can have T568A and T568B. Now, when we switch over to the laptop here, this is the wiring diagram that corresponds to T568A. Right. Now, what do we see here? Actually, you know what? I just noticed this. This is wrong. Actually, no, it's not wrong. Okay, so don't go by this. Okay, don't go by these numbers here. Go by the pairs. So here's pair 1. It goes right in the middle of the jack. So pair 1 would go to the very middle of these prongs. The 2 prongs, that's going to be pair 1, which is going to be blue. Remember? Pair number 1 is blue. Pair number 2 is orange. So pair number 2 kind of like goes around pair number 1. Okay. And then there's pair number 3 on this side and pair number 4 on this side here. Let me just take a look at, let's see, I think I have one patch cord here. I just grabbed one patch cord, which has the male RJ45 jacks or Ethernet jacks. Let's take a look at the microscope, and let's see if we can find the colors here. Remember, blue, orange, green, brown. Here is blue. Here's orange. Here's green, and here's brown. Forget this here. Okay, the way things are arranged, let's say these are the 8 prongs. Yeah, it's going to be fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these are the 2 middle prongs. So that's where the blue pair is going. Right. So this is going to be the blue pair. Can we do different color? Maybe. Yeah, you know what? I do have colors here. So here's where the blue wires are going. Okay. Notice that when you look at the jack, when you look at this jack here, with the clip facing away from you, here's my ink, clip facing away from you, this is going to be the colors arrangement. So what do we see here? Maybe a microscope would be better. All right. Can you see that the first middle prong is the blue pair, and solid blue is on the left, and the stripe blue, or the white blue, is on the right. Remember, that's if the clip is facing away from you. Okay. Then around that blue pair goes the orange, but you see the polarity is reversed. The stripe goes on the left and the solid goes on the right. So all the pairs in this jack are going to be stripes on your left. Just go by the way you're looking at it. So stripes going on the left, and the solids are going to go on the right, except for the first pair. All right. So the first pair, solid goes on the left, stripe goes on the right. Everything else is going to be stripes on the left. Okay. So how we're going to populate this? Here's going to be orange. I think the yellow is going to do for orange. So now, here's the first pair. All right. Okay. Then the second pair is going to be orange, but now you see the stripe goes on the left and the solid goes on the right. So here is the first pair and here is the second pair. Blue, orange. Then we're going to have green, and remember everything else goes with the solid stripes on the left. So we're going to have stripe on the left. Here's the green. Is it different? It's supposed to be green, but and here's a solid green. And brown. I don't have brown, but I have a pink. So pink is the new brown, or magenta. Again, and solid. So you see, so here's a pair. Here's a pair. Here's a pair, and here's a pair. Yeah. And how are we going to label those pairs? Here's blue. Here's orange. Here's green. And here's brown. This is how we count the pairs on the jack. There's a little dance that I do sometimes. So it's blue, orange, green, and brown. And maybe somebody's going to write music to that. Now let's take a look at the jack under the microscope. Here's the microscope view. What do we see? Okay, so we have blue pair right in the middle. And then, let me just get something to point with. We have the blue pair right in the middle. Then there's orange around it. And then there's green. And then there's brown. Okay. All the stripes are on the left and all the solids are on the right except for the first blue pair. That's just how it was decided by whomever. Okay. And these are the prongs, and they go inside the female jack. That's mounted in the wall. All right. So now let's see if we can touch on one more thing. Okay. And I'm going to talk to you about the isolation displacement connection. IDC, insulation displacement connection. Now, maybe I should mention that. Okay, so here's T568A, that's the one here. Okay. Now, how would we make that T568B? T568A is just like, sorry, T568B configuration is just like T568A, except the orange and the green are switched. Okay. So if we want to make B out of this one, the blue would stay, that's with CAT5e. Okay, if you wanted to do a CAT6, then you would have to switch everything else. But let's just take care of the CAT5e. Okay, it's just going to be less things to remember, and then you're going to have easier time remember just one more thing than having to remember everything at once. Okay, so blue stays the same and the brown stays the same. We're just switching orange and the greens for CAT5e. Then the instead of having green here, you will have the orange, put it here, and the green will just go here. Right? So if you have A to A to A or B to B configuration, which is by that I mean is that if you have the A configuration on one side and A configuration on the other side, you have a straight link. Right? Straight link. Right? If you have B to B, you also have straight link. Right? Now, if you have A on one side and B on the other side, or B on one side and A on the other side, then you are doing something that is called a crossover. Link. Okay. For the most part, when you're running a LAN configuration, we're going to talk about what LAN is. It's a local area network. If you're installing permanent wiring between the rack and the destination, you're going to have straight links. So you're going to terminate at the back of the patch panel. We're going to terminate in any configuration, and when you run the wire all the way through the walls and the ceiling and whatnot, right to the destination or the desktop, you are going to put also on A or B and B. It doesn't matter which one you decide, as long as you make a straight link. And it would be a good idea if you keep the convention all the way through per the installation that you're doing, because sometimes you're going to have 80 computers or 100 or 200 or 600 computers. Decide one to one of those, A to A or B to B, and stick to it all the way through, unless you want to run into some sort of a mess that you're going to have a hard time solving later on. Okay, now let's get to the point of going through the motions of the lab. So let me just erase this this board here. Yeah. All right, let's just wait for this thing to dry. Now, what we're going to do, so you can see me better, right? All right. Grandma, why do you have such big eyes? All right. Cool. Now you can see me. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to dismantle this connection here, and I'm going to show you how to perform an insulation displacement punch, or insulation displacement connection. Remember IDC? All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rip that off, and I'm going to rip that off. So we have two different jacks. Remember when we were talking about solid and stripe? Let's just take a closer look at this jack here. Focus. All right. Remember, the wire has 4 pairs, which means it's going to have 8 wires. All right? But when we're dealing with communications, we are talking about pairs. Okay. So what do these colors mean? All right. Let's take a look at this first top left pair. Because you can see here, blue, orange, green, brown. Can we see blue, orange, green, brown? Okay, so this looks like it's a blue pair. And this looks like an orange pair for A configuration. And remember, when we switch A and B, between A and B, we just switch the greens. And we leave the blues and the browns alone. CAT5e. CAT6, different story. You have to switch everything. You will also have to switch the browns and the blues. But we're talking about CAT5e right now. Okay? And as we go along with the theory classes, you're going to know more about it. Okay? Now, here's, let's say, for example, configuration A. So it's just going to be the top one here, see? Just like that. A. So this pair is going to be the blue pair, and this pair here, 2 wires, is going to be the orange pair. And then on this side here, we have A configuration, so that is going to be the green on this side, right? And the brown pair on this side. Now, where is the solid and where is the stripe? Well, in this jack, it's marked as such. As you can see, here's the blue pair, so there's a solid square, and there is a blue with a white dot or thing placed here. Now you can see 1, 2, 3, 5, 1. Yeah, this would be the like, for example, 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. These would be the pins, and this is how we count them. Microscope. All right. We just count them from left to right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So do we have configuration A? Pin number 1 should be green. Should it? There we go. Actually, it doesn't. I'm gonna have to get back to that. All right. Now, white green. Yes, white green should be pin number 1. Of course. You see that? For configuration A, white green is pin 1. White green right here. White green is pin 1. Pin number 2 is going to be solid green. Let's just take a look at that. Pin number 2 is solid green. So it just gives you the how you count the pins here. All right. So let's say we're going to wire this jack in configuration A for CAT5e. So we're going to have a blue pair going here, and A is on the top, B is on the bottom. So there's going to be orange pair here, and here we're looking at the A, so it's going to be green pair on the bottom on these two, and over here there's going to be brown pair. Take a look at another jack, because different jacks are made in a different way, and they are labeled in a different way. Let's see how this one is done. It actually shows CAT5e data jack. Okay, so it's CAT5e. Let's see the pairs. Okay, so looks like A is on this one here, is here on the outside of the label, and also A is on the outside of this label. So let's say A, this would be the blue pair, this would be the orange pair, and A here is on that side. So it will be green and there will be brown. So now you know how to place the pairs. Different jacks, different manufacturers might have a different way of. Here's another one here. Can we tell which is which here? All right. Okay. Now we can see the A and B labeled as A's are on the left and B's are on the right. So this would be the stripes, and this would be the solids. So if you want an A configuration, this would be a green pair, and the white green would go here, and the solid green would go here. Can you see that? And then these two would be orange. So solid orange would go here, and the stripe orange, the white orange would go here, and of course the blue is going to be the same for both A and B. So here's solid blue, blue, and here is solid brown and white brown. Okay? Solid blue, stripe, or white blue, solid brown, white brown. That's what this A's and B's mean. If you want to make a straight connection, you go A on one side and A on the other side, or B on one side and B on the other side. That's how you make a straight link. Okay, so now let's just pick some jacks. Let's say I'm going to use this jack. This one was giving me some grief, so I'm going to pick another one. Some of these jacks have been used over and over again. They are not meant to be connected and disconnected, connected and disconnected. Usually the first time is the greatest, then maybe you can just do it a couple more times, and after that those become a little bit damaged. All right? Now let's talk about insulation displacement connection. How does this work? Okay, IDC. All right, I'm just going to move my mouse so my computer doesn't go to sleep. So that stands for insulation displacement connection. Right? Insulation displacement connection. How does this work? Well, let's say this is the connector here in the shape of some sort of like a V. All right. That's the connector, and it has base or whatever is connected to. Yeah. And here is we're going to run a wire here. I'm just going to use a different color. So we're running a wire. Like that. That's how it's going to be. All right. So that's how our wire is. So basically, wire has insulation, and it has a conductor inside. Right. How does it look? Well, under the microscope, here is the insulation. I just ripped it with my fingernail. Yeah. Can we do this? Oh, this doesn't work. This one doesn't want to work. These side cutters, these strippers, I thought I was going to use the strippers. Some of them work better than others. Okay. So here we have insulation and a wire that's inside the insulation. Copper wire, bare copper wire. Right? Now, then we're going to have a connector. We're going to place the wire right at the groove of the connector, and we're going to use some sort of a tool to push it down. So that goes inside right here. What happens is that these two metal parts of the connector, they bite into the insulation and they make connection with the bare copper wire. That's why it's called insulation displacement connection. Okay. How does the connector look like? Let's see if I can find some connector that you can see here. Yeah, okay. All right, let's just get some focus here. All right, these are quite damaged. That's why this connector was giving me grief. So you see, these are the connectors, right? That's this jack, and it has those grooves. Right? See those connectors inside? And then if we go under the microscope, we can see them closer. All right, here is an insulation displacement connector. Oh, look at that. This one is actually broken. No, it's not broken. It's just it looks like under an angle. All right, so these are individual connectors, and of course, where's that wire that I had? I can use a different wire. If we put the wire here, you see that, and we push the wire in, that these two parts of the connector are close enough that they're going to bite into the insulation, and they're going to make a connection with the copper that is inside. Right? There you go, just like that. Yeah. Yeah. Except we're going to put this in the groove here, and then push it down with something that's called a punch down tool. Okay. All right, so let's do one connection, and then we're going to test that. All right, so we have a connector here, and the connector is going to have its own dust cover, and that looks, where are we here? It looks like that. So once we put the wires in, we're going to put something that's called a dust cover. We're going to put this on, put this off. Some of the dust covers, excuse me, they look like this. When they go on top of the connector, they just go like this, see? So which means that you actually have to thread the wire first, because that wire goes forever somewhere. There's no interruption. So you put that dust cover first, and you just push it aside, and then you do the connection, and then you just bring that, because if you don't do that, you're going to have to disconnect the whole wire, and so you can thread that in. Dust covers have to be put in. They basically protect the wires from coming out of the connectors, but they're called dust covers for some reason. Okay, let's prepare a piece of wire. I have a box of an old wire here. I'm just going to cut some length here. Now, there are different gadgets for stripping wire. Basically, the way I do this, learn how to use the side cutters for everything. Okay? Later on, you can have some gadgets that you can clip on, and you can spin around, and you can just get nice, clean cut insulation. But learn how to do everything with the side cutters first. Okay? So I'm just going to get ready my desktop camera. Here is my wire. This is how we do this with the side cutters. Okay. Just going to hold it with the side cutters. I'm going to hold about this much of a wire. I don't know, 4 inches, 3 inches. Nick it on one side here, turn it 90 degrees, nick it again. Well, not enough. Yeah. Then you can break the insulation. How it's done is just like this here. Break it, and you can just rip it. Now we have this kind of stuff. Now, once we did this this nick with the side cutters, these wires are going to be damaged here. So what we have to do is we have to find the ripcord that's there. Hold on to the ripcord, and if it doesn't want to start, you can just get the side cutters in focus and just make a little tiny nick just to start it. Okay? But then this actually starts pretty good. Some wires are going to give you grief depending on what manufacturer it is and when it was made. So you just basically rip the cord, okay, some length, right? And always remember to cut the garbage off. See, I just did this, so there's no way I'm going to cut the wires. So now we have undamaged connectors here. Now, this is going to be way too long, of course, so we end up with something like this. So for the purpose of mounting this type of a jack, I'm just going to cut about that much. Okay. What is it, 2 inches, 3 inches? Yeah. So just going to cut this. Yeah. Hold it, cut it. This is the garbage here, and this is the wire. Okay. Zoom out a little bit. Okay, now let's take a look at our jack. Here are the colors of this jack. Preparation, preparation, preparation. So what do we have? We have a blue pair here, orange pair here, we're doing the A configuration, and we have a green pair here for the A configuration for this jack, and brown pair for this. Prepare the wire first, so it goes that way. Yeah, let's here, focus on the wire or focus on the jack. Yeah. Now, I'm going to have blue and orange here, so I'm just going to go blue and orange. Here's blue, here's orange, and then on the other side we're going to have for the A, green and brown. Okay, so they are kind of reversed, so I'm just going to help myself with that, and I'm going to spread them just like a spider. So if I put them on top of this jack, they're going to fall in place, so I don't have to strain myself with tangling the wires and tripping the wires over each other, over each other, in order to make a connection. Now, for the insulation displacement connection, this is called 110. All right, 110. IDC. 110 considered as a name. And the 110 punch down tool looks like this. It has the part that is going to push the wires inside the insulation displacement connector, and it has a sharp edge, we call it a knife, that is going to cut off the remainder of the wire. So we have to make sure that we know which side the knife should be on, because if we put it in the wrong way, we're going to cut ourselves off from the jack. Now, as opposed to something that's called a BIX, B-I-X. Here's the BIX head, okay? And this BIX head has a, can I do this? BIX head has a moving knife. If I just press slightly on some sort of hard surface, there, see, the knife is going to move in order to cut the remainder. It's a different, also it's called insulation displacement connection, IDC, but it's a different platform, different manufacturer, so it has a different shape. Okay? But that's the same thing. So we're going to use a 110 punch down tool with the 110 punch down platform. 110, that's what 110 looks like. We're going to also look at BIX, B-I-X, but that's a different punch down platform. Mostly data is being done by 110, and telephony would be used with mostly BIX. Or sometimes they're called 66 blocks, mostly in the States. In Canada, we use BIX. We don't play around with 66 blocks, they're old. I didn't say it. Did I say that? Okay. All right, so now we have a jack. And now we have a wire that has been prepared. Okay. All we have to do is precede the wire. We're going to come down on the wire from the top of the jack, just like that. Okay. You cannot do this from the outside. That would be wrong. And I'll tell you why. The wires should go from the inside of the jack. Okay. So what do we have? Blue, orange. Let's take care of the blue and orange first. Now, if you notice, the wire has a twist, the pairs have twist, and the twist is done at a different rate. And we're going to talk about that in our theory class. The important thing that you really have to remember is that once you punch down, once you do the connection, the twist has to be kept right to the connection. Do not untwist the wire. Just remember that. The twist has to be kept right to the end. If you do not keep the twist and you still have the good wire mapping, the connections are where they're supposed to be, but you lose the twist, the link is going to fail data transmission. Right? Now, you shouldn't have those wires too long, so I don't want you to do this. All right? That's not good also. The wires should be as short as possible, but not short enough so that, because if you have wires just like that long, which is half an inch, a little bit less than half an inch, that's good. If you have them too short, then every time you move the wire, there is a danger of that you're going to just undo the connection. So about within half an inch is good. So this way the wire is, the pair is short enough and it is long enough, short enough to be not messy. And if you have the wires too long, you're running also danger of, you're putting yourself in the danger of failing the transmission. Now, so this way it's long enough and it's short enough. Right? It's long enough that if you move the wire, it's going to give you some give, some playroom. Now, what do? We have a blue wire on this side and the white wire on this side. Are they aligning themselves? No, they are not. So I'm just going to twist them a little bit, give them a little bit more twist so they're aligned. Are they? Now they are aligned. And there is a trick here. I'm going to put that in one of the grooves and hold it from this side, and I'm just going to undo that from that. So see, the twist is kept that way, but it's lost the other way, and then I can just flip the wire here, and I'm going to precede this wire. Now, I'm going to put that in a faceplate here. It's a single port faceplate. Simply because when I'm holding this this jack like this, and when I use my punch down tool to punch it, I can actually hurt my finger. Okay, and that's a really nasty rip. It doesn't give you even a clean cut. Now, if you look at the faceplate, it says this way up. You can probably see it on there on light, and that means that the prongs go that way. See this? This jack has prongs here. They go up because that's how they're going to be in the wall. This way here. If the prongs were, the idea of that the prongs are always up is because if they were down, the gravity is going to bring down some dust and impurities or whatnot, and it might actually compromise your connection there. All right, if nothing is plugged in. So much the prongs are up, this way up, and you're just going to see here, up are the prongs. Yeah, there you go. And we're just going to insert it just like that here and clip on. If you buy the jacks by hundreds, some companies will give you little jigs that you can insert the jack and punch it, and then you can move. But if you don't, you can just sacrifice one faceplate. They are cheap, and you know, you can sacrifice maybe a couple bucks or $1.50 or $5 even sometimes. It's much better to sacrifice even $5 than having your fingers ripped. Okay. Now we have this thing done here. So now we're going to precede the wire just like that. Just push them in the groove. So they are kind of sitting there, but not there yet. All right, we still have to punch them down. Now we have the green, orange. So white is on this side and the solid is on the other side. Are we aligned? Sort of. So I'm just going to put it like that in one of the grooves, hold it with my thumb, and just undo it like that. Ooh, too much here. And then I can just push those in here. Okay. All right, now, in this case, I'm going to punch down this side first. I'm going to flip the jack and punch the other side. Different jacks done by different manufacturers. You might use different procedure, but I find this works the best with this type of a jack. So I'm just going to make sure that those wires are kind of sitting straight, because if you do it that way, then if you punch down and see the knife has to be pointing this way, so these wires are being cut off as I punch them. Because if you put the knife that way, you're going to cut your whole cable off on this side. So here, and if I put those wires just like leaning against the wall, the knife is going to have a hard time reaching it. So usually I'm just going to make sure that they're kind of standing up straight that way. All right, I'm going to put this on, and I'm going to put, I'm going to put the punch down tool, and I'm just going to come down just like that. Yeah, I'll do the first one here. Can you see me? Yeah, just like that. Okay, now you can see that the knife has already cut this part. This wire is wire is inserted into the IDC, and that wire is cut off. So I'm just going to do the other one here. Okay, now I just was able to separate that, and here, and push in and punch down. So now the connection has been made. Okay, can we look at the microscope? Sure we can. There you go. Let me just get some focus happening here. You see those two connectors have bitten inside into the insulation, and they made the contact with the copper wire inside. Same as here. Same as here. And these over here on this other side, they're not punched yet. So let's just do that one side. So I'm going to flip that. Okay. Just make sure that they didn't go out on me. So A's are on that side here. So this is going to be the green and the brown. So let's see where the brown is solid on that side, stripe on the other side. Always make sure, because some jacks they reverse the polarity on the punch down side. So here is the brown. Gonna hold it, undo it a little bit, and precede. I'm looking at the camera here instead of looking at where I'm supposed to be looking. Yeah, I'm just gonna, there you go, and just kind of precede that, and just go here. The white should be on this side, but if we undo it that way, we're going to untwist that too much. So I'm going to give it extra twist and precede that here. Now undo this, precede. I'm just going to use them now to separate them if they fight you. Okay, and then just push that in. All right, now use the punch down tool to punch the wires. Maybe I can zoom out a little bit. Okay. Here. So you always make sure that the knife is going to cut these off, and they are kind of standing straight. Punch, punch, see? And punch, and punch. And hopefully, if nothing went wrong, we should have a good connection here. See now? these wires are not short enough, not too short, sorry. I'm just going to put this in so get a better lighting here. Not too short, so if I move the wire, there's a bit of a give, but they are not too long. You should have them as short as possible. Okay, so now I'm going to put the dust cover on, and this one is done. Okay. Now we're going to do the other side. I'm just going to do it quicker. So I'm going to, again, about this much here. Nick, twist, turn around, nick again. Then you can just break the wire, the insulation, and rip the insulation off. You're going to end up with the ripcord. Yeah. And this one should go nicely. So I'm just going to rip that much. Right. And I'm going to cut this off. I don't want to see any of that that's still attached. Okay, that goes out, that's garbage. Okay, and I'm just going to maybe cut, it's just enough comfortable length here. Let's get the other jack. So I'm going to remove that from this faceplate. And how we do this is just like that. Where is that? Here's the... Okay, I'm just going to put the screwdriver here under the latch, and this is out. And then I'm going to put the other jack here, again, this way up. Here it is. Prongs go up, match the prongs. See, the prongs go up, like that. And match it with the direction of the plate, orientation of the plate. Focus, focus. I don't want to. Okay. There. Here's the groove. Here's the latch. Kaboom. Done. All right. Modular idea. So now again, I'm going to verify the orientation of the pairs here of this jack. So we have A. We're going to do A to A. So in A we have blue here and orange here, and A we have green here and brown here. Okay, so I'm just going to spider them out. Right, so we have blue and orange, this way here. Can we do that? Right. Blue and orange that way, and over here it goes green and brown, so green and brown. See, so this way the jack, oops, come on, this way it's going to go just the way it's supposed to go, so we don't have to route the wires as we are placing them. Pre-arrange them first. It's going to help you a lot. It doesn't take that long. I know this demonstration is taking long, but all right, so here's the blue, white is that way, so I'm just going to give an extra twist. First fitting, press it against the groove here, and then undo the twist on this side. So this side is untwisted and that side is going to keep the twist, see? All right, now push that in. Then how are we doing this? Maybe if I do it like that, it's going to arrange itself. Here, there we go, see? And push that in. There we go. So here's the first side done. Punch it, punch it, punch it. Alright, make sure they are standing straight nicely. See, this way you can hold the faceplate. You don't have to hold that jack. If you're holding this, let me tell you this, if you're holding a jack like this and you try to punch it, sometimes you work on a slippery surface, it is going to give, and instead of punching the jack, it's going to slip and you're going to go right into your finger. That is a nasty, nasty cut. Kids, don't do that at home. Alright, so now when you're holding a faceplate here, orientation of the knife, and punch. Here. Punch. They're just jumping away if done properly. Okay. Here. Here. So this side is done. Flip it around. Do the other side. Okay. So what do we have here? We have brown, solid brown on that side and white on this side here. Hopefully I didn't mess it up on the other one. Can we do this? No, I'm just going to give it a bit extra twist here. Hold it here. Untwist. And hopefully that is going to cooperate, because sometimes, there you go, we keep the twist right to the punch. Do not punch untwisted wires. And then white is going to go that way. So again, I'm going to give it a bit of extra twist. Is that going to work with me? Come on, cooperate here. Okay, so now I have it like this. And I can pretty much put that in. It's going to cooperate with me now. Yeah, come on. Put a little pressure. And push that in. Straighten them out. Punch them. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Now, I'm not going to verify now. Actually, you should verify if those things are done nicely according to the color code, because sometimes colors jump on you. Do we have the dust cover? Yes, we do have it for that. Okay, put that on. And voila, this thing is done. So we have, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this thing out of the faceplate. Right here. Yeah, come on. All right. So now we have a straight link. Not done yet. Okay. Remember, we have to label that. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your Sharpie and label this. Let's say we're going to label this D1, D1, and put a dot under after that. Okay. We can put D01. Now on the other side, also put the same thing, D1 dot. That means we're going to read the number like this. That looks like a 01, doesn't it? Okay, so I'm just going to make sure I put, because I was looking at the camera, D01. I can put it that way as well. Okay. Always put a dot at the end of the number, because if somebody flips it that way, it could be something, if you don't put the dot, it could be 10 something, whatever, right? Same thing as, is it 6 or is it 9? Okay, let's say I'm going to put 6 dot. I know this is 6, because if I didn't put the dot, if I flip it the other way, that could be 9. And if you're dealing with 200 cables, you're going to appreciate if somebody labels it for you properly, or if you label this properly for yourself. So we have a straight link. Okay. Now what we're going to do, we still have to test. Still have to test this. Okay. Now where's my beautiful little, there it is. I'm going to plug this in here, because we're going to get the tester. It goes, I can see it, but I'm going to feel that. Come on. Okay, now we have this plugged in. So we got the tester. Here's the brains, here's the dummy. Or the end of the line. Here's the brains, here's the jig. And we have plugged in into those testers, we plugged in patch cords. so we can test this link right now. Okay, so one is going to go to one side, and that usually somebody is walking with this one here around the destinations, desktop, around where the computers are supposed to be, and the other person stays in the LAN room plugging into the patch panel, which is this side here. See that? All right. Okay, so I'm going to test the link. Hopefully I didn't reverse any pairs, and hopefully everything punched on me correctly. Okay. Zoom in a little bit on the test screens. Focus. All right. All right. Now we're going to press the test to test it. And it says the previous test wasn't saved. You can save it by pressing button, name it, and save it in the memory, so you can print it out later. But if you don't want, just press test again. So we're going to press. This is how this one works. So you can see that the equipment works with each other because it's just testing the wire. It's just testing different parameters of the cable. Alright, so our link is a straight link and it passed. We can view the results by pressing the view here. So use the soft button, press that, and you can see that the wire map has passed. As I say here, I'm just going to, alright. And even I actually tested the length, so that's the length between this plug here and this plug here on the other side. So the whole thing is 8 feet. The length has passed. Remember, we talked about it cannot be more than 328 feet. However, we just, for the sake of simplicity, we just say 300 feet is the longest you can run for the copper wire instead of fiber optic. Okay, so now the length is 8 feet, propagation delays, delay skew and all that. Let's just check let's say wire map if you want. You can you can even view the results here. Can we view the results? Yes, by pressing enter here on this one, and it's going to show you the wire map. Right, 1-to-1 pins. These are the pins of one jack. These are pins on the other jack. And here's a shield, and shield is not connected. So this is unshielded twisted pair. All 8 pairs are connected straight to where they should be. We can exit. What else? This thing is pretty nifty tester. We can, okay, length here. And if you press enter, what happens here? If you just go into it, okay, so it shows us that pairs 1 and 2, 3 and 5, 4, 3, 6, 4 and 5. These are the pins. It says pair. So pair 1, pair 2, pair 3. Actually, pair 1 is here, 4 and 5. So pins, it should say pins. 1 and 2, 3 and 6, 4 and 5, 7 and 8. 8 feet length each, and the limit is 328 feet. So it passes. It's within that. Okay. You can go exit. What else can we? You can do let's say attenuation here. Attenuation is a signal degradation, and you can actually see in decibels what the attenuation is between one and the other point. You can view the results, right? Or you can actually view the graph of that. Maybe we can have some time analyzing that later. But so here is lab number 2. What you're going to do is you're going to take the photograph with your cell phone of this screen. Do not photograph the whole thing, okay? But just photograph the screen of that. Right? Now, with the deliverables, you can process that in Photoshop or GIMP or any other different graphics software. But if you take a good photo with your cell phone and it's not too large in size, You can use that. Just use Microsoft Word to do the tables as we do the deliverables. Okay. So that's going to be one of the shots. Then what we're going to do is, remember, we are practicing doing the deliverables. So what I want you to understand is you should present the deliverables exactly as you're asked to do them. Okay? Different companies are going to ask you to do different things as far as producing documentations of your service calls or installations. And the idea is that you do as they ask you to. The reason for that is that sometimes the deliverables or the documentation of what you have done is being received by a person who just sits day in, day out, just receiving the work orders and the documentation of people who are working for the whole, maybe North America. Okay, and if you do something creative, they will not like it, because they do hundreds of those and they don't want any deviations from that. So we're going to practice producing the deliverable documentation, the deliverables, exactly as you are told. Because otherwise, if you don't, your documentation might be rejected, you don't get paid, or your boss is going to get mad at you, or whatever the reasons. But there's, so the first thing was the first photo for this lab was to take the photo of the screen, the screenshot with your cell phone, and then you're going to place the jacks like this. Yeah, maybe like that. See, this wire is too short. It's just twisting on me. And I want you to take a photo like this. All right. Labels at both sides. Okay, just like that. This is fine. Okay, just frame it like that, and that's your second photo. All right, and then you're going to make 3 pages on the work order, on the deliverables. You should have your lab printed with the work order printed. So you're going to have 2 pages in Microsoft Word. Page number 1 is going to be the whole work order. It's going to fill up the whole page. Filled out by hand, signed by you, signed by the instructor, and whatnot. Second page, you're going to have 2 tables. This marker is getting a little bit. And 2 tables. 1 table on the top with 1 big row and 1 small row, and another table on the bottom, 1 big row and 1 small row, narrow row. And over here is going to be the screenshot of the tester. And over here, you're going to have those 2 wires. Do it like that. And over here, you're going to label this thing as test screen. All right. And over here, we can just say, you can label the CAT5e, CAT5e straight link. I just want to write it here for you, but don't put it here, just write it here, of course, because this board here is, so write it in here. In Microsoft Word, work order, 2 tables. Do not, if I say 2 tables, that means 2 tables with 1 row on top and 1 labeling row on the bottom. Do not have 1 table with just a picture and have this thing labeled without that thing being included in the bottom row, because you're going to get your marks deducted. Okay, we are practicing following the instructions. Okay, so 2 tables, test screen, and CAT5e straight link. And over here, you're going to have a filled out by hand work order. Okay, if you have any questions, you're going to have a week to complete the documentation. And of course, when we're going to be in person in the labs, we're going to give you a little bit of, you'll be able to answer questions. But now you know how to terminate the 110 straight link. Now the thing is that you have to actually do it. All right. Watching the video is one thing, but actually performing that is another. So again, as far as tools, bring your side cutters and bring your Sharpie, and that's all. Of course, protective equipment, safety glasses is what we need for this lab. When you're in the lab, we don't need to wear work boots or safety boots in that room. Okay. In the other one with the electrical installations, you have to wear work boots or safety boots. In this one here, just the safety glasses, and of course the good old 2020 or 2021 mask. All right. Okay, so that's it, and I will see the next. This video was a little bit longer. As we go along, we're going to make shorter videos. This is just so you can get some sort of a jump start here. All right. If you have any questions, email me or ask me in person, or your instructor, lab instructor, whoever that is going to be in your class. Okay, that's it. I will see you in class.